The night I got hit with a $600 fine was the same night I realized my tent had more power than I ever did in my own neighborhood. One minute I was strapping down camp chairs for a weekend in the forest. The next, 2 squad cars were flashing their lights across my driveway like I'd just robbed a bank. And all because of a tent, a folded-up tent, in the back of my trailer. The cop stepped out, hand resting on his belt like I was a flight risk. "Evening," he said, calm but definitely confused. "We got a call. Someone said you were setting up a campsite here on private property." From my porch, I could see her. Beverly, HOA president, spotlighted like she was on Broadway, phone in hand like it was a badge. She didn't wave, didn't blink, just stared, like a lioness watching her prey slip up. I told the officer the truth, that the tent was packed inside the trailer, and I was leaving at sunrise for a legal campsite 2 hours away. He peeked inside, nodded. No crime, no issue. But Beverly wasn't looking for justice. She was hunting for control. The cop drove off. Beverly didn't. She stood there like a gargoyle, arms crossed, daring me to smile. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed. $50 daily fine from the HOA, signed by her, of course, for unauthorized camping activity. I laughed. Then I stopped laughing. Because she wasn't kidding. They'd pile on late fees, liens, whatever it took, all because she thought a tent was a threat to the community. I wasn't about to just roll over, so I called Jason, buddy of mine from college, now a real estate attorney who eats HOA bylaws for breakfast. He listened to my story while I was still standing on the ridge the next day, wind in my face and forest stretching for miles. He chuckled and said, "They just stepped in it. Selective enforcement. Let's go to war." Jason laid it out simple. If they were fining me for gear that never touched grass, but ignoring Don's boat parked on the street for months, or Teresa's pergola strung with Christmas lights in July, they'd broken their own rules. And the law. All I needed was proof. That Monday at 7 a.m., coffee in one hand, phone in the other, I became a one-man inspection crew. I snapped time-stamped photos of violations they never touched. Kayaks, busted ATVs, even a guy with a homemade carport stitched together with tarp and zip ties. 21 rule breakers, none of them me. I emailed everything to the HOA manager, CC'd every board member, and quoted the state's Common Interest Development Act. Not a threat, just a calm, detailed request for equal treatment. Beverly didn't reply, but I could feel her sharpening her claws. By Friday, a certified letter landed at my door. Not just a refusal to drop the fines, but a $2 nuisance assessment for harassing board officials. Jason laughed so hard he dropped his coffee. They just violated due process again. Let's sue. We filed in small claims, selective enforcement, breach of fiduciary duty, failure to follow their own complaint procedure. Cost me $70 to file. Cheaper than 1.5 days of Beverly's fantasy camping fees. 6 weeks until court. And during those 6 weeks, they went full-on HOA Gestapo. Doubled the daily fine, posted my name on the community website, told neighbors to photograph suspicious activity. One night, I came home to find 3 board members measuring my trailer with a tape like it was a crime scene. But the tide was turning. Phil, owner of the boat Beverly always ignored, gave me a nod in passing. Mara, whose shade sail violated 3 codes, slipped a note under my door. "I'll testify if you need." Quiet support, but it was growing. Court day arrived. I walked in with a binder full of evidence. Beverly came in with 2 other board members and a stack of loose papers that looked like a grocery list. No lawyer, just hubris. The judge let me speak first. I walked him through every violation I didn't commit. Photos, dates, exact bylaw references. Calm, no drama. Beverly got up next, babbled about preserving neighborhood standards and transient threats. Not once did she quote the actual rule. The judge cut her off. "Where does it say camping gear inside a vehicle is prohibited?" She flipped pages. Nothing. Her friend stared at the floor. The judge leaned back and said, "Fines void. Public notice rescinded. Plaintiff reimbursed court costs." One gavel tap. Beverly didn't blink, but I saw the crack in her armor. Outside, Phil and Mara were waiting. "Next election's in 3 weeks, Phil said. "Run, we'll back you." I did, and I won. So did Mara. Beverly lost by 1 slot. That night, she paced her porch like she was calculating a coup, but we weren't done. First board action. Full audit. Turns out thousands had gone to her cousin's landscaping business. No bidding, no minutes. We sent a demand letter. 30 days to repay or face civil charges. On day 29, a cashier's check arrived. No memo, just silence. Still, Beverly didn't quit. She sent anonymous emails accusing us of laundering dues. Screenshots, fake spreadsheets, even a grainy image of me and Mara linked to offshore accounts. We traced the IP. Her new apartment complex, 2 counties away. We sued for defamation. She settled for $35,000 and a public apology pinned to every forum for 60 days. We donated half the money to a legal aid group for victims of HOA abuse. Karma printed receipts, but the games kept coming. One night, 5 cars had slashed tires, all owned by vocal reformers. The camera caught a truck, plate taped over. But there was a shooting range sticker, one Beverly used to post about. No hard evidence. But then Ron, her last ally, cracked under pressure from wage garnishment. He confessed everything. The tires, the illegal dumping, even a plan to dye the community pool purple. We filed for a permanent injunction, used Ron's confession and Jason's airtight brief. The judge granted it. Beverly barred from coming within 1 feet of any HOA property for 5 years. Every violation? $5,000. Suddenly, her house went dark. 2 weeks later, it sold under market. Her name, erased from our landscape. With her gone, the neighborhood healed. Solar lights, budget workshops, new playground, community movie nights. Transparency. Unity. We even passed a bylaw. Any board member removed for misconduct had to repay legal costs and was barred from future positions. 74% approved it. The HOA that once tried to fine me for a tent now used that tent as a lemonade stand at the 4th of July barbecue. But Beverly? She tried one last trick. Applied to teach real estate courses and asked me for a testimonial. I smiled and said no. Months later, I stood before a state panel, testifying on HOA reform legislation modeled after our fight. Beverly sat in the back, lobbying for the old way. I spoke anyway, slow, clear, and loud enough for her to hear. Sometimes, justice doesn't wear a cape. It wears patience and holds receipts. "So, who really got camped out in the end?"